We're about to be heading into picks and bans for Game 2, trying to decide what kind of adjustments they might need to make. I wonder if there might be like a second half, like maybe even Geb ban, because Ray looks so comfortable on it. That was one of the few shining lights for Ducks.
Agreed.
Maybe take that away from if it's still an opportunity in that second half of the phase. We're very early on in the life of PS4. There's not going to be as many player-specific bans, I don't think, at this point. And so those are all starting to develop. That's just one thing you keep in mind.
I completely agree with you. I thought Ray played great. I mean, there were a lot of opportunities for him to make plays, and he really took advantage basically every time he could.
Yeah, it looked excellent. I mean, some of that is that his team was often maybe where they should not have been. So yeah, the Geb looks a little bit better in that situation, but you're right. He definitely played well, was able to keep them moving. As we're seeing very similar bans here to Game 1. Freya this time, though, is going to be banned out as well, along with Baron. That is the burden of picking second, it feels like, right? When you got to take those two off the table.
Naja on the table here. Yeah, I think that Raven is probably worth a top pick, but it's going to be Janus instead. Interesting. So TPC played okay in the early game on the Agni. Again, I've already harped on the build enough at this point, I think. We'll have to wait and see how he does on this Janus. It's a totally different style than literally every other god in the game.
The Janus is going to be coming out, but it's Artemis on the other side here for T1 to pair with the Athena, and why not, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sure.
We love the Athena for that global pressure. They clearly looked comfortable with each other in lane as well, so no reason to go back to the drawing board on that one. But Ducks, it looks like they're just trying everything new this time, right? Janus, Hou-Yi, let's just change it up.
You know what? I don't mind it. You know, sometimes you just have a game where you're like, nothing really worked for us that time. Let's just do something totally different and see how it goes. 26 minutes isn't a horrible game or a horrible time to lose by, but it did kind of happen very quickly.
Right.
Maybe the Ducks just kind of need a change of pace. So I've got no problem with it. I think that during scrims and that kind of stuff, you often practice multiple different styles. You think this is our best. We can go to this one if things aren't working out or they have a really good handle on it. I have no problem with this.
Poseidon coming back in for T1 again. Still, they're going to keep going with stuff that's been working here for them.
Yeah.
But the thing for me with Ducks is I don't want to see them playing, like you said, you start like 5 gods, right? Like you're not picking Janus and firing ults down middle lane for damage, right? This needs to be to get the team weaving in and out of team fights and setting up as many portals for them as possible. You know, if you have this, you have that big mage-like zoning ultimate, you know, use that to control space around some objectives, that sort of thing, instead of this sort of disconnect yourself.
Completely agree with you. I think that's so critical. And you look at their first 3 picks, I'm a little worried because those 3 don't scream cohesion to me overall. I mean, Hou-Yi and Terra can work very well together if you're really on point with one another and using those crushing walls, set up ricochets, then goodness, that's all you at that point. But I am a little bit worried because you look at Hou-Yi, Terra, that screams team fight to me. You know, Terra ult, incredible at team fights, so is Hou-Yi ult.
Right.
Janus, not a particularly good team fighter. Much more about mobility and setting up for picks. Guan Yu, team fighter. So already, maybe they're looking for these other gods to carry their team fight, and that Janus will just be there in the early game to provide some assistance where needed.
Yeah, if he even can just be like the facilitator, sort of move the team around, then that can certainly work for them. But I like this. This gives them some sustain options. Guan Yu in a big way, Terra in a slightly smaller way, but still certainly there. And then this Serqet can certainly be a monster in the backline. I feel like we haven't seen much Serqet here today, but she's certainly still plenty strong in her own right.
I think so too, but again, Janus Serqet work great together. I love those 2 gods together. I think Hou-Yi, Terra, Guan Yu is a great trio for team fighting, but it feels like they've got 2 totally different styles built into this composition right now. Now that can work. You could use this Janus Serqet to get picks in the early game and then ride that lead through your team fighters in the later stages. That can work, but it doesn't feel that great to me. On the other side though, for T1, I think they got exactly what they wanted again, which is just you will not have beats, and when you don't have beats, we will kill you for it because our CC is so good in the mid to late game. I think their draft is just great.
It's scary. They've got some of the strongest gods you could want right now in Artemis, Athena, and Naja. Poseidon, Amaterasu, certainly strong in their own right. And they're going to have tons of team fighting presence, as you already alluded to. But let us know who you guys think will win in that mixer poll. That should be up there for you right now. Go ahead and vote for us as we get ready to move into Game 2. Backs up against the wall here for the PlayingDucks already. They got to make sure they can get this composition to work for them and keep this series alive.
Now, like I said, these 2 Serqet Janus selections, they're a little bit risky overall because they don't fit the rest of the team comp, but they also have the ability, both of these gods, to just make individual plays that really can't be matched by their opposition. Mancha does have the Naja, which can match that playmaking capability, but Poseidon's just going to do Poseidon stuff, man. He's just going to lay down whirlpools and move around real quick, and, you know, all that is all great. But you're looking at, I'm looking at TPC. I think that's got to be the guy to watch here. and how well he's going to play this Janus, because it's got to be a difference maker.
Gonna have to be very important for them here in this game, because you sort of talked about, right, like what are you gaining, and with this Freecs team, it really feels like they're centered around mrsacx, right, and this Athena, and having that big follow-up off that taunt in team fights and burning beads and other cooldowns elsewhere. Can they make that work for them here?
51% for PlayingDucks. Still feeling pretty good about the Ducks so far, but only 49.
These aren't the mighty Ducks.
They aren't, but maybe
are they just voting for him because of that? Like,
they might be, yeah. They might be.
Instead, PlayingDucks still getting some fan support out there, and there were some things that, you know, like I said, that I liked from watching them play, but in that game, I feel like Freecs sort of outclassed them, even though they were a little bit behind early on. The later that game went, I feel like the more apparent it became. This is a game for them to make that adjustment as a team and answer back as aFranky goes in aggressively onto mrsacx after the taunt, but no real follow-up there. Rage going to fall back. Now,
Just Lion and mrsacx do have a bit of a disadvantage in health bars right now, even more so now that Just Lion used the Purification Beat. Sprint popped by Ray is upgraded, as you pointed out in the last game. We saw that on the other side, but now aFranky has got to use his beads. This red buff is going to make a huge difference for Just Lion. He's just hitting harder.
Yeah, and mrsacx is going to stick on top of aFranky. These auto attacks are going to be enough. First blood goes over to Freecs, and now KS-Ray is in a whole heap of trouble. They've dropped the slow on top of him. Just Lion gets that kill, and that's about as bad a start as you can have in the duo lane.
You just gotta, when you're getting autoed by a Guardian, here's a really good tip overall, okay? If you're gonna die to Guardian autos, the worst thing you could do is juke. Just run. Just run straight.
Right, yeah.
They're not gonna keep up with you. No. They're auto-attacking. I mean, they didn't have boots 1, neither do you, but you're gonna be able to get away probably in that spot, or at least get farther down the lane instead. aFranky jukes himself to death, and KS-Ray goes, yeah, that looked pretty good to me. Why don't I try it? You just run, dude.
So not only that, but let's say that your death is inevitable. Like, at least create some space for your boy Ray, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Not only that, because of he juked kind of in place, mrsacx just turned around and did it to Ray too. So it's like I'm right there with you. Unfortunately, that did not go their way over in the duo lane. Freecs TI making 49% of chat pretty happy with that start to this game. Already looking good in duo.
Fast Kill is playing an Amaterasu this time around, and already starting to see a play style kind of develop for Fast Kill. Doesn't really care that much about winning lane. You know, Ama is not a god that's going to win lane very often. Can against Guan Yu if you're using your dash to silence Intelligent Assault, but then you're using your dashes down, and can be dangerous. It's danger on this left-hand side yet again. Ray doesn't have his dash, now can stun Just Lion and does so successfully, and able to sneak away, but lost basically his entire health bar for that aggression out of Just Lion and mrsacx. Fast Kill seems to be much more of a team fighter and looks to really affect the team fights well, and did so well last game that I can see why he prefers that style. We'll see if he can carry over to this Ama.
And not just that he likes the team fighting, but it felt like he liked initiating, right, with the Sobek, with those plucks. That's something that Dazzling Offensive is very much going to be able to do for this Freecs squad as well. Even a strong counter initiation tool too, because it's so hard to get away from. I very much expect some big impactful rotations from this Ama around that ultimate from Fast Kill, as GunTeR Warrior apparently has no problem just soloing TPC. I don't see anyone else around.
Nope, GunTeR got that one by his own volition there with that Kraken. And this is a pretty good matchup for Poseidon overall. Whirlpool obviously hurts Janus, but if you're positioning well enough as Janus, then you can use, you can basically get pulled through portals right before that Whirlpool tick happens. So you can position well enough, but just based on when we switched over to the camera, looked like TPC had died, you know, dead center of the lane.
Another two-man stun from mrsacx. Spells some troubles here from Ray. Ends up dashing right into the trap. Dude. That spells death every day of the week. mrsacx even feeling himself a little bit as they get another kill over there in the duo lane.
You hate to see it. You absolutely hate to see it, though. Here's a through space and time, gets X-Gamers nice and close, jumps up and over that taunt and catches the dash of mrsacx. Just one auto from aFranky should secure it, and indeed it does. PlayingDucks able to get a kill, and that was good teamwork. TPC doesn't even take his own portals, uses it for X-Gamers to get in position, and it was a good angle taken by TPC behind the opposition. Well done.
aFranky wants to continue this aggression too as he drops the ultimate on top of Just Lion to cut off his escape route. Meanwhile, White Noise has been forced into his own ultimate, and not the same can be said for Fast Kill. Still holding on to that Dazzle offensive. A bit of a win for the Ama in solo, and a bit of a win for PlayingDucks in duo.
Are you one of those people that likes white noise, or do you hate it? Not like the player himself, but like the actual noise.
You know, I kind of like white noise, but in this day and age, as they take X Gamer up into the air, this should certainly spell death for this Serqet. Ring bounce finishes it off. Dazzling Offensive gets the stun as well, and a nice kill for Mancha. But I was gonna say, in this day and age, you know, I'll use like I'll go to sleep watching Sunny or The Office or something, and that kind of counts, right?
See, I used to do that, and then I wasn't allowed to anymore because
that's fair.
I moved in with my significant other, my girlfriend, and she didn't like that. And so now I do sleep with white noise like every night, and it's actually like it's kind of nice.
I get that. It sort of helps you sort of drift off. You couldn't with shows. It's hard because you care about what's happening on them, and you got to put on shows you have no investment in. White noise kind of, I guess, fills that gap because you can't be invested in it because it's, you know, ambient sounds. Yeah,
it's like a really good. It's really good. Here's a life pro tip for you guys. If you're having trouble,
write this down. Ned's declassified.
Get ready. If you are having trouble focusing or sleeping, if you just close your eyes and listen to sounds around you, I'm totally Anatolian this right now. Like going into some really weird, like sort of mystical thing, but if you just like close your eyes.
Where'd all that chest hair come from? Whoa.
No, bitch, no. You just close your eyes and listen to sounds around you. It really calms your brain down, and that's what white noise does for you, you know?
Whoa, Ray removes GunTeR Warrior. We will see him some other time because he is no longer here. A ton of damage ends up coming out. I believe really most of that, bulk of that work was done by TPC as they find a nice kill.
That was KS Ray as well, that Earth and Fury, man. It does so much damage. TPC was in the right spot as well. He used those angles properly. I'm already liking the way he's playing this Janus.
Yeah.
Overall, can use a portal here to get himself or his teammates closer, but just Lion's ultimate may have been enough to stop it, but he's going to go forward, but just was out of range of the Defender of Olympus hitting aFranky.
So just barely can't find that last kill, and mrsacx ends up dropping down into a bad time. A good juke, though, sets up for the dash to get away, and just Lion able to find the kill on aFranky. The stun is necessary to slow down this Artemis, who apparently is undeterred. Now Mancha's here as well.
Mancha immediately into that Windfire Wheels, gets all 3 crits, and just Lion's going to use that to get himself a killing spree. Good rotation in from the Naja, but that's just Lion making plays in that spot, man. Probably could have killed aFranky a lot earlier. Like I said, he was a couple hairs away from just dunking aFranky down with a Defender of Olympus damage.
Yeah, I can't believe that play works out in their benefit because not only does just Lion move forward, you know, and it positions him further forward, but mrsacx, when he lands as well, and he just barely gets away from that last breath by dashing back out. It was a good juke, and he's able to survive. And just Lion is apparently the most confident person there's ever been, 100% recognizing what his kill potential is.
2v4 is easy for him, and that's and honestly that's what I really like in my ADCs. I really want that just arrogance, not confidence. I want you to be arrogant a lot of times, and you got to learn to temper it whenever it's necessary. But plays like that, man, it just gives your team such confidence. I mean, that is the type of play where you go, dude, these guys can't hang him, and they're not good enough to stick with us if they can't win a 2v4. And obviously that's not true, but when you're playing, whenever you're playing in these sorts of environments, that sort of uplift that you can give your team is really big.
Yeah, you get that moment where you say you're clearly nuts, as now Lion comes in and catches aFranky, not just with the board, but with the trap to follow up. The jump does get him away, and Serqet lying in a wait. A great trap from X Gamer, Deathbane, and Cobra's Kiss more than enough.
And that's where your arrogance can come back to bite you a little bit. Just Lion's got to know that he dropped that kill by missing the 3 right off the bat in the initial engagement. That's why if that's your plan as Artemis, you really want to save your 3 for last. Just like it's with Mercury, when you're ulting on top of someone, there's no reason to mage you look someone who is right in front of you and spinning around in a circle. You wait until you use your auto attacks while you can, while those are guaranteed, and then when they use their movement ability, you follow up with your range, and that's something that Just Lion could have done there to actually get that kill.
And that's a great point too, because you know the whole time I'm thinking maybe he wants to apply the slow for more damage, but he's already boring into trapping you, right? So it's like he doesn't even need that either. So definitely wait to confirm the damage as Ray just walks into a Kraken and gets gobbled on up, and then Mancha there with his ult too.
Okay, Mancha and GunTeR Warrior take care of that one. Ray not having quite as good of a performance on the Terra as the Geb in this time around, I should say. And getting double killed in the duo lane early on is a really easy way to not look quite as good as a support.
Yeah, that's a very easy way for it to end up dropping off. And what's made things worse is that almost independently of this duo lane, Freecs have just been playing well elsewhere, right? Like GunTeR and Mancha have been having good games sort of in their own right, and this duo lane's getting a little bit away from PlayingDucks, as now Gold Fury being looked at by Freecs. After expending quite a few ultimates in the middle lane, they have no Kraken.
No, they don't. No Windfire Wheels either, but Fastkill is here to zone away X Gamers nicely. And this is the difference, it seems, between these two teams. And that's why I think that Freecs T1 are in a much better spot going through this PS4 league, just based on what we've seen today, is their ability to prioritize objectives. They did it in the last game, and with a similar lead, maybe not quite as big last game for PlayingDucks, but certainly had opportunities, they never went for Gold Furies. Instead, there weren't even any real kills to set that up. It was just, hey, we should be getting Gold Fury by now. Let's do it.
GunTeR does end up getting that Earth and Fury out from Ray in that middle lane. Takes quite a bit of damage. He does have to expend his Purification beads there to survive, though, so it'll be a slightly easier target going forward. But Mancha wants Gamer, who well-times the beads, in fact, drops the last breath, throws him back towards TPC, and Ray is there at the walls, and Mancha falls.
Really, really nice job there by X Gamer. That's what you got to do against Naja. Bait him in and punish him.
Kraken hits multiple people. That does bring them low, but undeterred is X Gamers. Cobra's Kiss, Deathbane does good damage, but you got to be careful. Fastkill's making the rotation. Dazzling Offensive has quite a few targets, gets the first kill on the Ray, but GunTeR low as well. The solo laners both finding kills.
Good rotation from both sides. That's exactly what you want to do as a solo laner. Go around the back. No reason to take the front door. Just try and sneak in and make something happen on that top side of the mid lane, and both White Noise and Fastkill make it happen, but White Noise, he killed a mid laner, whereas Fastkill only got a support, so certainly a better play overall for the PlayingDucks.
A nice big rotation there.
What do you think they're playing? Are they referring to Smite?
That they're like Ducks playing Smite? Like that's the idea? Or?
Well, I just mean like they could have just been called the Ducks, and I would have loved that name, by the way. Like, no need to get complicated here, you know?
Especially when your logo is that sick.
Right.
You can walk in nice and clean,
what
right?
Up?
And just,
we're the Ducks.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'm all about that, man.
I have no idea what they're playing. I'm
Yo,
with you.
PlayingDucks captain next week. Sign up as the Ducks. I'll make sure admins are cool with it. It's worth it.
That's an aggro guarantee.
Sure is.
Yeah.
With like a thumbs
I want you
up.
to have a stamp or something where you're just like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing it right now. Just no one can see it. You know?
I mean, I saw it and then looked away. I was over it very quickly. TPC, though, on this Janus. I feel like he's having, even though he's 0-1-3, not as if he's getting a ton of kills or anything like that, I feel like he's having a better game here on this Janus than we saw from him in Game 1. And he's got to keep that rolling, I feel like. Just about everything good that's come from PlayingDucks has been around this Janus play so far.
I agree with you. However, I'm already getting nervous because he's going to be 3 items in, and there's not going to be any penetration there, and that's... I kind of freak out about building pen properly in the mid lane. It's kind of a big deal to me. So, look, Chronos Pendant is so core on Janus. That's why I just don't think I would have got both off in this spot.
Kraken ends up landing on Ray. Yet again, brings him down to about half HP. Whirlpool there to follow up as well. mrsacx is on his way out. TPC finds GunTeR early on. Now mrsacx left all alone, and PlayingDucks can disengage with yet another pick.
GunTeR had relics available and just didn't use them, and TPC really took advantage there. X Gamer locked him in place with Cobra with that last breath and Cobra's Kiss combo. TPC blasts him with Through Space and Time and Unstable Vortex. Good patience there from TPC.
Wow. Sash lands from max range, but has no more follow-up in the TPC. mrsacx lands the taunt. That sets up the Dazzling Offensive to come through as well. X Gamer with nowhere to go as the stun comes through.
Way.
And they're going to continue this chase. This Amaterasu is making it happen.
Man, I'll tell you what, Mancha is really impressing me right now with this Naja play. That was absolutely sick, and I really wanted him to just wait out those purification beads of X Gamer and then nail the ultimate without any sort of setup. Turns out he didn't need it, so he holds on to it, so it's even better. But man, that ring toss, the max range sash, then the patience, knowing that he doesn't need to expend the ult, that someone else will get in there and do it for him. Really, really well done by Mancha right now. Now, I'm not sure I'm in love with no Blink, because Blink Naja is like peanut butter and chocolate, because peanut butter and jelly is bad, but I don't know. You can make it happen.
Wow. What an unnecessarily bad take.
Well, Finch,
peanut butter and jelly is great.
I know I'm in the minority here. I just don't think jelly is that good.
All right. As long as you're okay with being wrong, and Just Lion's okay with the graveyard, as that is where he is on his way to. Earth and Fury comes out. Portal, I don't know if that was in the spot that he was looking for. Just Lion is actually going to make it out, and now with Fast Kill here, he's looking for the turnaround, and there's no Portal from TPC.
TPC's got to use both relics, and he still is going to fall. Portal there out of the frying pan and into whatever Anatoly says at this point.
Guys, I'm out.
I'm out of the. I'm not. I'm unfortunate. That's where using Portal aggressively is going to get you into trouble more times than it will set you up. And I think that if TPC is able to hold on to Portal in that spot, he's able to get into purple buff and threshold away very quickly without falling. But try to get a little bit cute.
Oh, White Noise, that was ill-advised. Tier 2 tower comes down, he teleports to it, and immediately lands inside a Whirlpool, and then a Kraken, and he meets his maker. An excellent sequence here from Freecs. They grab the Tier 1, the Tier 2. Unfortunately, they're also able to punish TPC, and now they're heading back towards Gold Fury. Pyromancer went the way of PlayingDucks, but Freecs, they're looking good.
Gold Fury does go down before Through Space and Time got there from TPC. Good effort, though, as I believe Fastkill was able to steal away that red buff, at least, with that dazzling offensive, and indeed he was able to do just that. And Fastkill is going to not let X Games get the back off for free in this spot. TPC, no relics here, but close enough to the wall that he should be A-okay.
Was that the Unstable Vortex sidestep there, too? That's what it looked like. I couldn't quite tell. I think it was just accidentally avoided. Either way, a nice taunt. He comes in the mid lane, sends TPC on his way. But Freecs, I'm with you. They've impressed me here in this game. And you're right that I feel like Mancha's gameplay has stood out individually. But I love that they clearly have, as you highlighted, the voice, right? The shot caller. And everyone's following the call. It's one thing to have a clear call. It's another thing to have everybody respecting it immediately and falling back to it. So right now, Freecs are looking to be in a great spot. And like they will not be easy competition by any means.
And again, just Lion going straight for the Silver Branch bow. And I really feel
like
again,
yeah.
with this build, he's less worried about the passive of Silver Branch right away and more just saying, hey, I'll take 35% attack speed for not that much gold. And we'll start using that passive later on whenever I can actually get to it. I think it makes sense.
And the item has power on, I believe, and pen too, so that puts it a little bit above a lot of the rest of the tree, which doesn't often put power on it as well. You'll get like attack speed pen or to go along with it too. So this Silver Branch bow, you know, not too bad an item if you're okay with it just like as a bridge in the meantime. But once you're late and you really need a bunch of attack speed to get it, you're probably not out DPSing a lot of those other items as Fire Giant gets looked at.
Sash off the mark there from Mancha. Ray taunts it in and just gets shredded down by the Freecs. Now on the backside, X-Gamer doing what he can to disrupt and ambushes away in time. Through Space and Time was just off the mark there from TPC. Just Lion, it's just Lion here. And in goes aFranky. Good beads, and White Noise does manage to clean up that Artemis.
He is going to pay for it with his life, but it's very valuable to get this Artemis out of the fight. Kraken is there as TPC stands in place for no real reason. It ends up getting sent back to the grave. Fast kill now on his way. Sash just a second too late, but I think this Amaterasu should have no trouble cleaning it up. A great ricochet creates some space, but he's not done chasing yet.
Yeah, Fast Kill should be able to get this one, though it might take him a little bit longer than he wanted. Indeed, a fall there underneath that tier 2 is looks like another easy fight goes the way of the Africa Freecs. And again, TPC just kind of caught out in no man's land there, Finch.
Yeah, unfortunate really, and his positioning was a bit curious there as well, yes, but also so was his choice to just remain stationary as the action breaks out yet again. Sounds like Windfire Wheels getting a lot of work done here for Mancha as they look for some action. White Noise and aFranky both end up taking spills, and Freecs still looking comfortable.
Tier 2 on the right side, still standing, but don't know how much longer it will be. I mean, already an 8,000 gold lead right now for the Freecs, just at 19 minutes. Experience is nearing 10K. And this team fight composition is really, really good. And again, it comes back to it feels like Freecs are drafting with a composition in mind, with how they're going to play the game. It's not just, you know, you could have games, and how it used to be a lot of the time it felt like was every pro game was just we pick and then we play. And they're very separate entities. Great Kraken here from GunTeR Warrior. Gets Aegis from TPC. TPC is able to escape, but Ray likely will not get that same sort of escape option. Could have taken the portal there, but decided not to. It was like two separate entities, right? We draft, then we play. Now, you start playing from the beginning. You're drafting to play the way that you want to play that particular game against your particular opponent. And that's what's really accelerated, I think, the pro teams very, very quickly in this scene.
Fire Giant should be going the way of Freecs. They do have White Noise controlled, and Freecs will grab the objective. Has to use the ultimate just to get away, and now Freecs with the Fire Giant with a tremendous lead, with all 5 members here and healthy. They should be able to start pushing down some towers. Just Lion is not with the group, though. I'm sure they would like to have his damage on these structures. Instead, he's trying to push up the middle lane, but they grab the tier 2 either way, and now want to try and push down solo.
Not usually the Phoenix you want to go for first, since it is closest to Fire Giant, but when you've got this sort of lead, it's really just a matter of the order. You're basically getting Phoenixes at this point, so you can push that right side if you want. You could also clear out, which is exactly what the Freecs are doing, clear out all the towers, strip away the buffs, go for Gold Fury, and then start sieging once you actually can put a 10,000 gold lead into practice. Right now, you're playing your actual items that you bought basically feels like a 8,000 gold lead instead of that full 10, 11K.
Right, it doesn't do that much good in the pocket, but they've already done some work with this gold they've already got. The Frostbound Hammer coming out from Fastkill. We don't see this item all the time, along with the Emperor's Armor there for mrsacx, so they certainly are ready to get this siege underway. And Fastkill is ready to try and stick to somebody in the back line. I'm thinking aFranky or TPC if he can track him down.
It's going to be difficult for either of them to get away from an Ama who already has such phenomenal movement speed from her auras. Now has a Frostbound Hammer to slow you down. Also slows down your attack speed as well. So aFranky's going to have a real tough time getting that Amaterasu off of him. And he just is not going to bring really any damage to that Ama at this point. He's too far behind. He's only got 4 completed items, and they're all pretty cheap. It's not like he's been able to invest in a big payoff item quite yet. Ichabod's a 1,700 gold tier 2 item. Executioner is the most expensive item there alongside Devo Gloves, so you're not really looking at a lot of damage right now from aFranky.
On the other side, Just Lion already has that Poison Star ready to go and is itemizing into a little bit more crit to try and finish that off. Poison Star feels like it's good enough on its own, doesn't it? Just as an item, even if you don't have that much more crit. So certainly Just Lion is going to be in a good spot here, but they're playing this a little bit slower than I kind of thought they would be. You know, they went back and got Gold Fear. They went back and spent their gold, you know, kind of waiting to group up, and now they're going to siege with right Phoenix. 2-man taunt into the Kraken. That brings Ray down immediately, and now White Noise in some trouble. Windfire Wheels is off the mark, so White Noise will make it out.
Good attempt there by Matcha, but DR will hurt Najaz very often. Those diminishing returns didn't help him out, but great taunt by mrsacx. Sets that all up, and GunTeR Warrior's in the right spot to pay off.
X-Gamer does go in on the right-hand side to drop the ultimate through space and time. Clips with the fight as well. An Unstable Vortex comes through, but it's a double kill for this Serqet on the defense. Fastkill is rotating on the backside, but it might have been too late.
Indeed, too late. TPC too late on the relics, but Fastkill maybe right on time and able to save this fight for Freecs. They don't have the same sustain that PlayingDucks have with that Guan Yu support, but aFranky just walked into a trap, nearly got punished for it, luckily able to jump away in time. Don't think that Freecs are going to be able to get this Phoenix, and GunTeR Warrior again. This is the second time in 2 games now that just some positioning that just, I don't know. I don't really have an explanation for you. That was just suboptimal.
Yeah, a bit of a collapse now from Freecs, I feel like, on this Phoenix push. Unforced is the word that comes to my mind. They didn't fight as the 5-man unit. It took a long time for Fastkill to sort of make the rotation, the loop he was looking for to try and get into that fight. I think that Mancha being just a little bit off with the Windfire Wheels hurt early on too, because then he was a little bit too far forward and White Noise survived. That fight just in a couple areas got a little bit away from him.
It did, and honestly, it's one of those things where when you have gotten yourself a 15,000, 16,000 gold lead up until this point, you're able to make mistakes like that and not have it really harm you in any way. I mean, I don't think that PlayingDucks are even going to get a tower off of that, so it's really not that bad. Your Fire Giant was going to be coming up soon anyways. It was just about to fall off, so it's not like you lost people with Fire Giant for the next 3 to 4 minutes. Overall, Freecs don't get a Phoenix, and they know they could have in that spot, especially with such a great start by mrsacx and GunTeR Warrior.
Right.
The rest of the fight left something to be desired.
Yeah, there definitely were a few mistakes in there, too. And the only reason I bring it up, because you're right, the stakes for them in that fight were relatively low, right, is how I would characterize it. They didn't stand to lose very much. But it's an error in an area where I feel like Freecs have looked really good, which is like in concise shot calling, right? And that seemed like a fight where maybe it was a little bit disjointed. Some of it does come down to the mechanical error, I feel like, but again, it got a little bit away from them. They should be fine overall, though. Fire Giant's back up, and they'll be able to grab it no problem.
something that I'm definitely noticing is that you're right. The overall shot calling quality of Freecs T1 is pretty solid. Someone's got to keep a leash on GunTeR Warrior at times. You know, hey, what are you doing over there? You know, you just got to check in every once in a while. Like that new puppy, like who was exploring. Like you want to let them go. You don't want to stifle them, and you know you want to let them explore. But at the same time, what are you doing? What are you getting into over there? You know, someone's got to keep an eye on.
You just toss that what are you doing out there? You often see like one head kind of pop up, like
Nothing.
it's fine. Yeah,
okay.
It's good. Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah, just make sure it's still nothing. You know.
Right side Phoenix will be the call yet again, but only once a speed buff has been at least dropped on the side of Freecs. They're looking for a bit of a split, though. They want to go back and get those minion waves pushed up in mid. That way they can go right from this Phoenix on the right-hand side, back over to the mid Phoenix, and make a nice clean sweep of it. But this time, Duck should be comfortably in position for their defense.
Normally, I really like this, where you split two waves at the same time. In fact, I think it's just correct most of the time. But in this situation, that right side Phoenix was weakened, and you've given it time to regen about half of its missing HP. It could have been a much easier siege if Freecs would have just gone for it right away in that spot.
And this is an awkward split. You don't often send the Hunter off on their own
because of this
as well, because then X-Gamer can just walk over and drop down that last breath. Now, just Lion is able to turn it around after a nice rotation from Fast Kill, but there's further trouble for GunTeR Warrior. aFranky chases him down and finds a nice kill indeed.
Oh, good double kill, though, from aFranky, who wants even more, looking for the triple kill now onto mrsacx, and indeed he'll get it. Now Fast Kill's right there. aFranky does eventually fall as Just Lion rejoins the fray, but he'll exit just as quickly.
Just Lion looked for the trades, but it was not going to be enough. White Noise gets that kill. 4 members of Freecs fall, and yet again, a disjointed Phoenix push from the two of them. That's just not where you want to send your Hunter in that situation, and Fast Kill had to come over to try and defend. That essentially meant they were in a 3v4 and a 2v1 in that fight, which is just not the way they wanted that to go.
And good job by PlayingDucks to take advantage of Freecs' mistakes. A lot of times you'll see teams down 15, 16,000, just kind of roll over and say, yeah, it doesn't really matter what we do here, we're done. But that's a good play by PlayingDucks. You're right, sending the Assassin over, taking the Hunter on 1v1. Now that drew over the Soul Laner, let's play aggressive on the right side, where they just lost some numbers with Fast Kill rotating. In my mind, Fast Kill did the right thing. It just shouldn't have had to be the right thing in the first place. This is why you have to show your work in school, right? Like the answer of we split 2 waves at once so that the team can't just 5-on-5 mash against one another is correct. But you have to understand which characters you're sending over there and why in that spot. And Freecs, they looked at the back of the book to get the answer and just were like, oh, I figured it out in my head.
Yeah, they've been making the right decisions, but they've been in the wrong decision tree the whole time, right? It's like we're already down a road we don't really need to be in, so they'll have to regroup. Fire Giant a little bit further off this time, about another 2 minutes till it respawns, about another minute on the buff itself, but really only Fast Kill has it. Everyone else met to their end around that right side Phoenix after a great play from PlayingDucks. And Ryan, the longer this goes on, the more this goes from Freecs being okay, we can afford to make a mistake because we're ahead, to Ducks are starting to even this one out now. It's getting closer and closer.
Normally, that's the exact sort of storyline I would go with, but it's getting to the point now where I'm saying it's less they have the ability to make these mistakes, and more they don't know how to end the game.
It is feeling that way.
You know, you got to be able to end games. And how many times have we seen teams be really, really good through the first 30 minutes, and then they just can't shut the door. And that's so big. You talk about it in traditional sports all the time, the ability to shorten games and make it so that, okay, if we have a lead by this point in the game, the other team may as well pack it up and go home. And that's what Energy is really good at, you know, on the PC side. If Energy's got a 5K lead at, 17, 18 minutes, you can almost pack that game up because they are so good at shortening the game, where they just make it so that you don't get to play anymore. It's us checking off boxes as we come down and kill your Titan. Whereas Freecs T1, they wrote the whole paper. They just need to put the period on the end, and they're like, that's a comma, like that's a question mark. Just put the period on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they haven't been able to self-edit in a way that can end this game just yet.
Got a lot of school metaphors today, don't I?
Yeah. You got schooling on the mind? You want to go take some classes?
I was just talking about it, actually. That, young people don't really get to appreciate how fun school can be at times. I mean that. Don't give me that look,
I
Finch.
somewhat miss the structure of like going to school every day.
Oh,
you
for
know what
sure.
I mean? But
Yeah.
that's about it. Yeah.
Where you don't have to worry about what you're doing that day. You just know what you're doing that day.
Yeah, you're like on rails essentially, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my third period friend. We're only friends because we're both in third period.
Open world games are really awesome when all you've played is on rails games up until that point. But once when the rest of your life is open world, you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to make this decision. You know?
Right. Just like a few rails would be nice.
Yeah.
Like,
if I just had any sort of direction.
yeah,
at all.
we don't have to be like Call of Duty walking down a hallway, but something, like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one for sure.
Well, right side is going to be the attempt here from Freecs yet again. At this point, it just feels like a personal thing.
Right.
Like it just a
I
mental
will
block.
kill this Phoenix.
Right, yeah. We got to make sure that we get this one taken down. As again, it is probably the least valuable of them in terms of Fire Giant defense, but they want to try and make it happen. It is going to be Mancha this time who's split pushing in middle lane. A much better decision in that regard, and they are able to pull 2 over. It's going to be X-Gamer and TPC, so the favorable fight on the right side Phoenix.
But Beads forced by that Serqet. Nothing really afterwards. Taunt onto Ray, and he gets killed before that Earth and Fury happens.
Through space and time, sets up an unstable vortex for very good damage, but Ray has already fallen, and Freecs are still feeling very comfortable. X-Gamer has to dash through with the Death Bane, but gets taunted before he can get off the ambush. He falls early onto Mancha. Great there catch from mrsacx.
Right side Phoenix finally does fall. Finally.
Eventually.
We got there. Now it's mid Phoenix's turn.
Okay, sure.
This is how you got to do it. You got to knock all these down. End call could be made, but a little bit risky. I think I like going for all 3 Phoenixes better here.
Yeah, at this point, right, you might as well just go ahead and, as you said, do your work. Let's go ahead and finish this off the right way. White Noise gets taunted back in. He's still tanky at this point, though. The Guan use it won't be easy.
No.
aFranky goes in aggressively for damage, has to jump away, but TPC puts the clap down on Gunner Warrior and takes him out quite nicely.
White Noise still up here, as is the left side Phoenix, down to below half. Fast kill, get a step forward. White Noise, good quick dash out of the way and boosted up by that threshold. All 3 Phoenixes are down now, so PlayingDucks don't have long to play anymore. They've got to try and get a team fight win and fast.
If they had just named themselves Ducks, that couldn't have happened to me just now.
It's true. Don't
But
blame
they
me,
did
dude.
not. It's not your fault. You're right.
I know.
They did this.
I know.
The Ducks.
It's
Just
hard,
Ducks.
It's hard to
Yeah.
make a team name. Okay, Finch, you and me, we're making a team. What's our name?
Aggression's 5, because I'm assuming you'll play as Aggression.
No, no, you don't pay me enough to play as Aggression.
We can't afford Aggression.
Yeah, you can't afford that. No, it's really hard, man.
It's not
It
easy.
is.
Yeah.
We had a horrible name back in the day. God, what was it? Wiggles came up with it, and I just hated it. It was so dumb. I was so glad when we got signed.
This
so that
works
we didn't have
better
to
when you know the name. You have to tell us.
I don't. I think my brain just got rid of it because I hated it so much.
It just dumped it out, yeah.
Oh man! All right, someone will remind me out there what it was. Hopefully, because it was bad. That's all I know.
They'll put it through and let us see. I wonder, we've been talking about the Silver Branch bow from just Lion. Once he hits that steroid, he's definitely over on the cap. I gotta think, right? With the Silver Branch Poison Star Executioner at this point. Yeah, he's at 2.3. So yeah, he's gonna be getting some decent power out of it, I gotta think. On top of it just being a fine item on its own. So
yeah. No, I think the build works out, and he doesn't even have that much extra attack speed. I mean, Poison Star's there, has a bit, but...
It's the Ninja Tab, I feel like.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, they are going to go for the end right here, right now. Titan down to about half HP. Sunbreaker being dropped down from aFranky to zone them away, but it's too little, too late. Just Lion gets Ray just for good measure, and Freecs get the game in 34 minutes. It didn't feel like it would take 34 minutes, but PlayingDucks held on for dear life.
They did, and look, like we said, Freecs, they got all the hard parts down, man. The hard part is getting the lead and, maintaining the lead.
Right.
And you just got to learn to close those games out, and I think they will. It's only week 1.
Yeah, it's one of those old pieces of wisdom, right? You play the early game every time, right? Like you're very, you're more likely to get better at that faster, right?
Yes.
So those end game ones, you got to get a few more reps in. I think especially at this high level, this league is still very new, and Freecs I think have a lot of the right pieces, and they're close to lining them up.
Very, very close. It's just going to take them a little bit of time. On the other side, for the Ducks, that's what I'm just going to go ahead and start calling them the Ducks. They just need to get a little bit better at playing as a unit, and this is where that transition from, hey, I'm really good at Smite game, I hit my stuff, I know what I'm doing, to now you're at a 5-man unit. You are working together. It's less about the individual now, more about the group, and you have to learn how to kind of balance that with your own play, where you fit in, what your play style is in comparison to your teammates. And that does take some time, and I think that towards the end of the split, we'll start to see the Ducks start to get better. It may not even take quite that long,
right,
but it is going to take some work on their end.
Got to make sure they're putting that work in so they can get those gains, get those results. But we're going to be asking you all who was your MVP. That poll should still be ticking, so make sure you're voting for us if you're out there in Mixer chat watching the stream. We want to know what you all thought was the big takeaway from that game. Ryan, I mean, who stood out from you there on the side of the Freecs? I mean, I feel like mrsacx on that Athena did a lot of work.
Agreed. I mean, obviously, I want to praise GunTeR Warrior for some sick Krakens that were definitely set up by Athenatons. So
right.
I got to give it to mrsacx. He was starting fights off very, very well. Fast kill, I thought, as well, looked pretty good again.
Absolutely.
He definitely seems to fit that style of, I'm not worried about my lane, let's just get me to the team fights. Now, other teams in the PS4 League, maybe they'll start to recognize that, say, I'm going to pick lane bullies, and I'm just not going to let them get to that point. Maybe we'll try and pick later game gods than what he's going for. That's the beauty of a league, right? You have so much opportunity to see what your opponents are doing and adjust. That was a sick start.
This was off of that great sash, I believe, as well. Like I set this whole thing up, too. This fight really, I feel like, tonally changed the game, right? It wasn't just that Freecs were out in the lead, but now it felt like Freecs couldn't miss.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like that was the like, oh, moment. Like maybe they're gonna just win this. Like,
right, exactly. That's where you've been losing and you're like, we got this, guys, and then that happens to you, you're like, we're still losing. Is it my job to say we still got this? Because I don't want to.
Right, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I could muster.
Do you want me to
it
like lie to you guys? Like, what do you want from me right here? That's someone's got to be on the liar on your team to say we can still win this.
Right.
That was my job.
Well, it's tough. At that point, it really felt like things had kind of gotten away from them. But again, it's a long split. They're going to have some time to work through that and try and make their way towards hi-rez, towards that console world championship, which I'm excited to watch and see the best of the best end up getting to able to throw it all out. But we still got more console action happening here today, Ryan. We are not done just yet. So we're going to take a quick break, get everything ready with those games. We'll be right back.